How's it going, everyone? And these are the unwritten rules all riders should know, part 2. First one, slow down. Whenever you're riding through residential areas, you're in a shopping area like a mall or whatnot, you're on congested streets, very busy streets, or on construction, just slow down. There's a time and place to go fast and have a little fun by twisting the throttle, but these areas are not it. And just a side note, don't be an ass clown by revving your engine with your loud pipe, and no one cares. You just look like a fool. Especially if you're waking up in the morning, you have to go to work at 6 a.m. Don't start your bike and rev the crap out of it for 5 minutes and wake the whole neighborhood up. It just makes everybody hate you, honestly. So don't be that person, right? The golden rule applies to society as well. Behave in a way you'd like others to behave. Next, it's probably not a good idea to touch or sit on someone else's bike without their permission. So I say that, but it all depends on the person, of course. So in general, I would say that's probably a good idea not to do, just overall for everybody. However, so I used to have a 2014 BMW F700 GS. It kind of looked like that in a way. But I had it up on the center stand, and I was inside of a store. I came out of the store, and there's a dad sitting on the bike, on the center stand. He was on top of the bike. And then I was walking towards him. I was like walking over here, right? After he saw me, he got off the bike, and then he picked up his little son, like maybe 5 years old or something like that, and put him on top of the bike. And then he was just showing him stuff and things like that. Now, before I even say anything else about what I did, ask yourself what you would do. Okay, you got it? You know what you'd do? All right, so this is what I did. As I was walking up, he saw me, he got off the bike, he put his son up on the bike. The first thing I did was like, hey, what do you ride? He was like, oh, I used to have a Harley, blah, blah, blah. And my son, he's kind of interested. I was like, oh, cool. Why don't you stand next to your son? Let me see your phone. I'll take a picture with you and him on it. It takes effort to be an a-hole sometimes. Sometimes just be a nice guy. Why make a situation out of something? What am I gonna do? Get in a fight? Go to jail? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What's the harm? You know what I mean? Nothing happened. He was like, oh yeah, man, it's awesome. So he gave him his phone. I took a couple pictures of him and his boy. I turned on the bike. I let the boy rev up the engine with the throttle. It was fun. Why not? You know, why not? Sometimes you just be courteous to people. There's no need to make a scene out of nothing. But that's just me. Next one. It's a good idea. It flashes your rear brake light while you're slowing down. So say you're going down the highway and you're getting off on an off ramp, and it's early morning or at night. And as you're starting to, maybe you're just rolling off the throttle so the brake light wouldn't come on. Maybe tapping your brakes a couple times with your foot or your hand just to get a flashing light if there's cars behind you, to let them know, like, hey, here I am, I'm slowing down. Or even if you're actually on the brakes, maybe doing it once or twice, flashing a couple times before you actually come to a stop where there's a solid yellow light, the solid yellow-red light. Flashing lights gets people's attention. So it's just a good idea, especially at a red light. If I'm already stopped at the red light and I see a car coming up behind me, I'm probably going to go on and off the brake light a couple times just to maybe get their attention. I'm definitely always in first gear, getting ready to escape in case they're not stopping. Or as I'm approaching red light, if there's a car right behind me, I'm probably going to flash it 2 or 3 times and then, hold on to the brakes and come to a stop. But always be ready to go. If there's no one behind you, then I don't do this, of course. It's only relevant if there's people behind you. And the main thing is just use your judgment, right? Be aware of your surroundings at all times, whenever you're riding around, where you're riding around, or anything else. And I definitely check my mirrors every 5 to 10 seconds. People are like, oh man, I only do that every minute or so. I don't know if they're actually paying attention to what they're doing, but most people, you check down and look at your mirrors every couple seconds. So probably every 5 to 10 seconds, I look at my mirrors. And if I'm in heavier traffic, I check my mirrors frequently, even more frequent than that. Just a good idea. Next, there's only really 2 hand signals that I use and that are pretty universal. So you can make up a whole bunch of stuff if you want to with your buddies, have your own secret language, but no one else is going to know what you're talking about, and maybe that's the point. But overall, in general, I've never saw anybody that don't understand these 2 things if they're a motorcycle rider. If you never heard it before, then I guess you wouldn't know. But these are the only 2 universal ones that I know about. And these are the only 2 that I actually use. So say you're riding this way and you see a rider coming this way, right? And they're doing this, they're tapping the top of their helmet. That means there's a cop ahead. You're going this way. This rider is coming from this way. Say, so they're coming around a corner and there's a straightaway. You're coming down the straightaway and the rider's coming around the corner. Once they see you, they start tapping their helmet. That means, hey, there's a cop up ahead somewhere. So just in case you're going a little bit quicker than the speed limit, I don't know how that happens sometimes. There's something about two wheels that just make a lot of people go a little bit quicker. But that just means there's a cop ahead. So same thing. This means slow down. Even if you don't even ride motorcycles, if you're just going and someone kind of waves their hand up and down like this, right, it means just slow down. So maybe there's not a cop up ahead. Same riders coming around the bend. You're going this way, they're coming this way. And they start going like that to you. Maybe there's just an obstacle in the road. Maybe there's a whole bunch of gravel or a 2x4 or a broken down car or people walking across the street or a bunch of oil in the road or something. They may not be an actual cop, but maybe there's just something up ahead. Same thing applies for this one if you're following behind someone. If the first rider of the group goes around a corner, right, and they start going like this with their hand, everybody else starts repeating that message. So by the time you get there, you know to start slowing down. Same thing with the cop. The rider's way up ahead of you, they take a couple corners. By the time you see them, if they're tapping on their top of their helmet and they're not telling another rider coming the other direction, it's like, hey, I see a cop up ahead. I'm just letting everybody know that behind me. So those are the only two universal hand signals that I use and that I know that most people use. Next is bike wave. So we're a kind of weird bunch of people on motorcycles that we wave at complete strangers. You definitely don't have to wave, but the weird thing is, so if you wave or not wave, that's not the issue. What I see too often is people get upset if they don't wave back. Well, it's not all about you. Maybe they didn't see you, or maybe they're changing lanes, or maybe they simply didn't feel like it. So I wave at every single motorcycle I see, but sometimes I simply don't see them until they're already right next to me or past me because I'm looking at something else, or I'm looking at the signs, or check my speedometer, or I checked my mirrors, and I just didn't see you. There's no need to get upset about it. Some people now make a crazy unwarranted jump like, oh, that sport bike guy, he didn't wave at me. All sport bike riders are bad now. Well, that's ridiculous to judge an entire group of people based on a couple people, right? Don't judge the majority based on very few. If people would just learn that lesson in general in life, I think the world would be a vastly different place. It's not that serious. You don't have to wave if you don't want to wave, but no one says you have to do it for sure. And if you do and someone doesn't wave back at you, no big deal, right? It's not that big of a deal. Anything else? So pretty much all of these I got from the comments of the first video I made of this. So if you have any other unwritten rules you'd like me to make a video about, so comment below and I'll make a part 3. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Check out my website for my new MotoJitsu app, all my books, my merchandise. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you're always aware of whenever I upload a new video. Share this with others who may not be aware of these things. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.